Hello grade 7s, welcome to Thuma Mina Teaching. You are tuned into your second lesson in Economic and Management Sciences for Term 1. In the first lesson, we focused on the history of money. But today, we are going to be focusing on needs and desires, also known as wants. Are you ready? Let's get started. Everyone has needs and wants. Your needs and wants change frequently as you age and as your circumstances change. What is a need? A need is something that you cannot live without. Grade 7s, please think of one need that you cannot live without and quickly write it down. Let's have a look at what one's basic needs are. Air, oxygen. We all need oxygen in order to survive. Water. Without water, a person will die in a few days. My favorite. Food. Clothing to protect us from weather elements and a shelter to keep us safe at night. Yet it is so sad to see how many people in our beloved country do not receive enough to meet all their basic needs. So learners, as you can see, a need is something that you cannot live without. Is a phone a need? A tablet, computer, or even a TV? Of course not, because these are things that we love to have. They are good to haves, but certainly not must-haves. Let's have a look at a household's needs as well as a community's needs. A household's basic needs would include electricity, water, sanitation, and garbage collection. Imagine living for 10 days without these. Do you see that we actually cannot afford to live without these? A community or country's basic needs would include healthcare, education, police services, as well as transport. Furthermore, needs are divided into two categories: primary needs and secondary needs. Primary needs are needs which one cannot live without. For example, water, food, shelter, and clothing. In a country, primary needs can be seen as services without which the country would not be able to function, such as healthcare, education, and protection services of the police and fire departments. Secondary needs are needs on which our survival does not depend, but are still an important part of our human development. For example, you need food and water to survive. But of course, one doesn't just want to survive. One wants to reach one's potential, and therefore, secondary needs are also important. In our communities, secondary needs will be facilities where sport and recreation can take place. For example, communal swimming pool, soccer fields, as well as a park. Needs determine what kind of products and services are offered in communities, as well as what type of businesses are opened in our communities. For example, if there is a great need for clean drinking water, there may be businesses in the area that sell filtered water. Okay, enough of needs. What is a desire? A desire is something that you really want, but you don't necessarily need. For example, a PlayStation. Okay, so let's play make-believe for a second. Imagine that you won 100 million rand today. What is the one need and want that you would buy if you won 100 million rand today? Write your answers in the comment section below or share with your teacher and your peers if you're in a classroom. Everyone is looking for things that we may not need or cannot necessarily afford. Unfortunately, due to social media and advertising, we are always looking for more and more. For example, your parents buy you a phone today, and tomorrow a more expensive and better phone is released. Or you see a Prime on TikTok and you want it even if it costs 40 Rand a bottle. Our desires become more and more, and eventually they become limitless. If people have unlimited needs and desires, and there's only a limited amount of resources, a scarcity will arise. Now, grade 7s, that's where you come in. As an entrepreneur, you need to be able to see the needs and wants in your community so that you can then provide services and products that people want or need. For example, people in your community might not be able to travel far to a big store to buy bread and milk because transportation is expensive. They simply cannot afford the taxi fare. What you can do as an entrepreneur is that you can then start a spaza shop that sells products like milk and bread in your community that is within walking distance from everyone's home. People will rather come to your store than go to a supermarket far away and pay for a taxi. So grade 7s, I leave it all up to you. Identify all those needs and wants and be that entrepreneur that makes a difference. So grade 7s, here's what I want you to take away. If you can identify a need in your community, remember that that's an opportunity for you to make some extra money. That is an entrepreneurial opportunity. Identify those needs and wants and be that entrepreneur that makes a difference in your community. Grade 7s, we've reached the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you learned a thing or two, please feel free to buy me a coffee, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and or support us through my school. Until next time, bye-bye.